fish? Do you be goat? Because the goats do be goat and the fish do be fish. Do you be goat or a fish? Don't sit on the fence. Well, goats are of the land and fish are of the sea. But goat versus fish, which one do you be? Do you be goat or a fish? Do you be goat or a fish? Because the goats do be goat and the fish do be fish. Do you be goat or a fish? Don't sit on the fence.
That's goat versus fish. 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 Celebration. Celebration for goat versus fish. Welcome to the Mighty Verses. Welcome to the Mighty Verses. Welcome to the Mighty Verses. Welcome to the Mighty Verses of Goat versus Fish. Goat versus Fish begins an early versus this versus because Goat versus Fish, the Goat Fish, will be going to Pasadena to the Ice House open microphone. Goat versus Fish, getting back into the comedy places, getting back into the comedy clubs. We want to hear the live goat bleating. We want to hear the live fish blubs. And that requires Goat versus Fish to get out there in the universe. And Goat versus Fish will continue to do this. But it is Goat versus Fish Thursday, and Goat versus Fish wanted to bring you a versus. Wanted to bring you a little versus of Goat versus Fish. So welcome to Goat versus Fish. So welcome to Goat versus Fish. We do have Goat versus Fish is here. We are ready to versus. We are ready to versus with Goat versus Fish. Let's bring that versus a little closer to Goat versus Fish.
The goats do be goat and the fish do be fish. The video romancier sits on the fence.
That's a fair versus. That's a fair versus. So welcome to Goat versus Fish. While we're waiting for the goat and fish, let's have a look at some verses. We have been monitoring the interwebiverse to find goat and fish for which to receive commentation. So it's time to look. It's time to look at what we have seen. There's so many goat and fish out there. So many goat and fish out there. So many goat and fish out there. Let's have a look at this. Let's have a look at this.
This is the current verses. This is the current verses.
Going now to the Instantgram. Going now to the Instantgram. To the humble Instantgram. Here we see fish. Here we see fish. The evolution of fish. Fish in the sea. We have some volcanic activation. The verses roaring. You feel as this is from quite long ago, from quite long ago. And yet fish. For all of its struggles upon the land, asks unto itself, but then in the form of a question. A question. A statement. Question versus statement is a false versus. Don't correct goat versus fish. There is no correct or incorrect. There's only goat and fish. But this fish seems to have forgotten that little verses because they are coming out of the sea and onto the land and says, I totally forgot what I was evolving up here for. Let's talk about the humor of goat versus fish. Oh, you think it's funny, do you? Of course, goat may leave the farm and fish may leave the lake. Haven't you ever? You step outside the fence that you are ensconced by. You wake up, it's goat versus fish. You brush your teeth, it's goat versus fish. You drink your coffee, it's goat versus fish. You eat your breakfast, it's goat versus fish. You have no time, it's goat versus fish. You blow off all of your social obligations, it's goat versus fish. You go back to sleep, it's goat versus fish. You're clinically depressed, it's goat versus fish. You have a manic episode, it's goat versus fish. You get back out of bed, it's goat versus fish. You go outside of your house, it's goat versus fish. You go beyond the fences, it's goat versus fish. You are free. You are finally free to versus. You are a fish. You are going out there. You're going out there. You're doing it, goat and fish. You're doing it, goat and fish. And then you realize that you don't know why you left your house in the first place. Wait, why am I here? But of course, this is not a question that we merely ask ourselves when we have left one place and entered a new place. This is a versus we are always asking ourselves, is it not? Why am I here? Why am I here? Goat versus fish will tell you why you are here. You are here to choose goat or fish. You are here to choose goat or fish. Are you goat or are you fish? And to participation in the mighty verses. And yet this fish comes to the land of the goat. Now, some fish, they have ways of walking about on the land of the goat. Take a mud skipper for a versus. Take a mud skipper for a versus. They can skip around in the mud. They can be on the land of the goat. And a lungfish, we believe, can be on the land of the goat for at least a few verses. This fish has gone so far as to evolution what appear to be legs. Legs of goat? Legs of goat. But no sooner has the fish evolution legs of goat than they begin to forget why they were evolving in the first verses. For the fish would only come to the land to versus the goat, But this fish has been versing the goat for so long that it might be becoming a goat. This fish is becoming a goat, but in its transition from fish to goat, it loses its sense of purpose. Perhaps you're taking a bit too long to evolution over there, fish. Are you goat or are you fish? If you're going to be goat, then be goat. If you're going to be fish, then be fish. But this liminal fence-sitting space in which the fish has legs, fish with legs. Now, if fish want to evolve legs and use them to versus goat, that's one versus, but this fish is evolving legs and has forgotten the meaning of being a fish, which is to versus the goat, because it's goat versus fish, and has forgotten its whole purpose in the universe. This is a sad fish. This is a sad fish. Aww. This is a sad fence-sitter. A fence-sitter just wandering into the middle of verses, not comprehending goat versus fish. And you may laugh. But goat versus fish finds this very pitiable, a very, very pitiable fence creature. Not like the fish who's still in the sea. It turns back to the fish. It turns back to its fellow fish. I totally forgot what I was evolving up here for, but does this legged fish even know it's talking to a fish? Why not look? Why, fish? Why not look further? Why not look further out onto the land of the goat and ask a goat what you're evolving up here for? Oh, is that because there are no goat yet? Because goat evolved from fish?
Ooh. Ah.
If that's a true versus, then during the evolution of fish, there was a period of fenciness. Before the goat was goat, but the fish was no longer fish. Where the fish was no longer fish, but the goat was not yet goat. Fenciness. Fish could use this against goat and say, Goat, it is only by the power of the fence that you grace the verses of goat versus fish. But of course, as we know, in the beginning, there was goat versus fish, the goat fish, and goat versus fish said that there should be goat and that there should be fish, and it is indeed a mighty, mighty versus. But perhaps this is just some light jesting for your bemusement. Posted by Mannequin on the Moon. Have you forgotten your purpose? Have you forgotten your life? Don't forget your life. Don't forget your purpose. Remember goat versus fish. Remember goat versus fish. That's a versus. That is a versus of goat versus fish. Celebration. We need a cool down. We need a cool down of goat versus fish. Let's have a look at another versus. Let's have a look at another versus. This is very goat. This is very goat. Can I come over and stare at you like this? Can I come over and stare at you like this? Don't mind me, they say. Says Medieval is Matt, who posts this goat. Don't mind me. Image source, Luttrell, Psalter, British Library, MS42130, 818R. Okay, when did that happen? When did that happen? How many millions of years ago was this goat? You may say it looks like a modern goat, some kind of creepy pasta goat. But this looks like a very ancient goat. And the goat would stare at you like this. 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 Where's the fish? Are you the fish? Are you the fish I'm here to versus? Are you goat or are you fish? Many versus goat versus fish will point to you. Are you goat or are you fish? This goat shows us once again. You need only stare. The goat need only stare upon you for the one true question. Is it just goat versus fish, or is it looking slightly fence-wise, not quite straight upon? But what do you say? What do you say? Some say, looks like my cat. This is very offensive to goat versus fish. You want to say that this looks like a cat when it's clearly a goat. It's clearly a goat. And is a cat even a goat or a fish? Maybe your cat's a goat. How about that? Cat goat. Just wondering if you were going to eat that pickle, says Jericho the Weary. Well, we're weary of your accusations. That goat wants to consume your pickle. Or that you want to consume the pickle of goat. Are you speaking for this goat? Are you suggesting that this goat wants to eat the pickle of goat versus fish? Or do you want to eat the pickle of goat? Sounds like a fish. Sounds like a briny fish move. Enormo bear. Is a bear a goat or a fish? It bears repeating every verses. If you want to call yourself a bear, we're going to ask if a bear is a goat or a fish. If you want to call yourself a cat, we're going to ask if a cat is a goat or a fish. And they say, no. Can I come over and stare at you like this? And they say, no. The bear says no. The bear says no because the bear does not care for goat versus fish. The bear says no because the bear cares nothing for goat versus fish. If you were a fish, you would say, come over and stare at me, goat. Stare at the fish. If you were another goat, you could be two goats staring at one another. Have some headbutting. Have you heard of the movie The Men Who Stare at Goats? But Enormo Bear, of course, would reject the verses and say no. No, no, no. No goat. No staring goat. No staring goat. Very offensive to Goat versus Fish. T-Bear505. I am here now. Let's start the party celebration. Let's start the party indeed. Let's start the party indeed. The party shall start now. The party shall start now. The party has begun. The party for Goat versus Fish. Let's get Fish in the verses. Let's get Fish in the verses. That's one fish. T-Bear505 goes Fish. Celebration for Fish. Celebration for Fish. T-Bear505, you are the first fish of the verses. You are the first fish of the verses. And you are a fish. And you are a mighty fish. Tell us of your travails, T-Bear505. Tell us about the journey of fish. Lonely fish, a lonely fish. A lonely fish. And yet, Goat versus Fish brings you this goat to verses. What do you say to the goat? What do you say to this staring goat? What do you say to the staring goat? The goat says to you, can I come over and stare at you like this? What do you say, T-Bear505? Maybe you don't have to be lonely anymore. Maybe this goat can come over and stare at you. What do you say? What do you say to the goat? What do you say to the goat? You're intrigued by goat. So is Goat versus Fish. That's why this goat is here for you on Goat versus Fish Thursday. Intriguing. Intriguing. Goats are known to have rectangular eyes, but this goat does not seem to be in that guise. This is a round-eyed goat. You're my round-eyed goat. But the horns are quite curved, and the horns look hot. The horns look hot. The goat looks like it has the body of the Sea of the Fish. Kind of a weird goat by current verses, by the standards of current verses. But when you're Goat versus Fish, you've seen it all. Kind of a weird goat by the standards of current verses, but when you're Goat versus Fish, you've seen it all. The history of Goat versus Fish. These goats used to be much more common. These goats used to be much more common. Celebration for goat. Celebration for goat. Appreciation for goat. Where's the comment of Goat versus Fish? Do you want to stare at a fish? That's what we'll ask. Do you want to stare at a fish? We post the verses. We post the verses. Do you want to stare at a fish? Inventive Harvest, welcome to Goat versus Fish. Stare at the goat. Stare at the goat. Inventive Harvest, are you goat or are you fish? Stare at the goat. Stare at the goat. Do you TikTok? Yes. Not much. Perhaps we could do more. There's always more to be done for Goat versus Fish. That's why this verse is we're going to the Ice House. The Ice House open mic. Goat versus Fish. The Ice House open mic. The Ice House in Pasadena open mic is always on Goat versus Fish Thursday. So we have been avoiding going to it in order to bring you the verses. But Goat versus Fish can wait no longer. We must go. We must go to the Ice House open mic. We must get out into the scene. We must be seen. We must be seen. And here we have Inventive Harvest says, goat for me. Says, goat for me. Let's see that goat. Let's see that goat. Celebration for goat. We have achieved Goat versus Fish. Celebration! Celebration, we have achieved Goat versus Fish. Celebration, we have achieved Goat versus Fish. And we're back. We're back in the verses. Now that we have achieved Goat versus Fish, Blub, blub, blub. Blub, blub, blub. So, Inventive Harvest, how do you respond to goat? Can I come over and stare at you like this? You say stare at the goat, but is that just a command that you're giving the fish? Are you just giving a command to the fish? Is that just a fish commandment? Or are you willing to stare at the goat? The goat asks, can I come over and stare at you like this? Do you accept it? Ah, Inventive Harvest is commanding the fish. Just commanding the fish. Just commanding the fish. How dare you? How dare you command the fish? No, we really want to know how dare you command the fish? How do you do it? How dare These are things we need to know. These are verses we need to know. Thunderhead says, tell us. You want to be told? You want to be told? We'll tell you. Goat versus fish. Goat versus fish. Now you've been told. Thunderhead 81 says goat. Celebration for goat. Celebration for goat. Goat time. That's 2 goat in the verses. 2 goat versus 1 fish. Goat are winning. There's double the number of goat than fish. Can 1 fish hold out against 2 goat? Celebration indeed. Celebration. 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 Let's continue looking at some verses. How about this? Oh, goat versus fish. Oh, goat versus fish. This is big verses. Just one little thought, and all those feelings rush to the surface. There they are, sprinkling sustenance upon their brains. And what is within them? Fish. What is within them? A whole sea of fish. 1 fish, 2 red fish, 1 blue fish, 1 yellow fish, 1 orange fish, 1 deep sea angler fish. Infinity. Welcome, Ahmed, to Goat versus Fish. Infinity. So many. Infinite goat versus fish. Infinite forever goat versus fish. Ahmed, are you goat or are you fish in all of your infinitiness? Feed the fish a food, and they will want to consume. But this brings up a critical verses. Some say, many goat especially say, that fish don't have feelings. Well, if fish don't have feelings, then how is it that all these fish are your feelings that are going to the surface for you to ponder? And where are these brains? Are we to presume? Are we to presume that this one has any brains to speak of? It doesn't seem that it does, but it definitely has the sea of the fish, and it has some seaweed, and it has fish. And each fish is a feeling. So if fish don't have feelings, is that because fish are feelings? Is every fish a feeling? Ahmed, fish, fish, fish. Says fish are the goat. Ahmed, are you a feeling fish? Are you a feeling fish? Are you a feeling fish? And tell us, T-Bear505, are you a feeling fish? And if so, what feeling are you? But, of course, in this verses, it does not seem that goats have any feelings. Clout Gangster. One Sonic sent me Clout Gangster on YouTube. Welcome to Goat versus Fish. Clout Gangster, are you goat or are you fish? Clout Gangster, are you goat or fish? Ahmed feels fish indeed. Well, let's get fish in the verses. That's 2 fish. That's 2 fish. 2 fish. I'm a gay feeling fish. Celebration for Clout Gangster, the gay fish. Gay fish, gay fish, gay fish, gay fish, gay fish. There's your gay fish. There's your gay fish. Fish feeling gay. Some say goat versus fish is a gay versus. We do not deny it. We do not deny the gaiety of goat versus fish. And we take no offense. So you're feeling gay, so a gay feeling of fish. Just one little thought, and all the gayness rushes to the surface. Fish no sleep, says T-Bear505. Well, the fish may sleep. And what is with that anglerfish? It seems to be not going towards the surface there, but we know from previous verses that there was a deep sea anglerfish that did come towards the surface to versus the goat. So yes, by all verses, have a thought. Just one little thought and all the feelings rush to the surface. One little thought and all the fish rush to the surface. One little thought and all the fish come to the surface to versus the goat. Celebration! Think about goat versus fish. Have a thought about goat versus fish. Dream about goat versus fish. Just one little thought about goat versus fish, and all of your feelings about goat versus fish will rush towards the surface. A mighty versus, a mighty, mighty, mighty versus. It's a beautiful feeling. It's a beautiful, beautiful feeling. Clout Gangster, welcome to Goat vs. Fish. How did you hear about Goat vs. Fish? How did you hear about Goat vs. Fish? X Ahmed says, fish, furiously incredible sea hornets. Goat may feel that you are appropriationing the horn of the goat. You may get some verse back on that. You might get some verse back on that one. The verses must continue. The verses must continue. Goat versus Fish has been very precious with the fodder of Goat versus Fish. But we think now that Goat versus Fish, we can do all these verses. We can do all these verses. Fish hammer. Fish hammer. Fish hammer. If I had a fish, I'd verses in the morning. I'd verses in the evening. All over Goat land. It's a verses of freedom. It's a verses of justice. It's a verses of love between the goat and the fishes. All over this land. What are you talking about, Goat versus Fish? It's a question we get all too commonly. Look at the fish! Look at the hammer fish! Hammer fish! Hammer fish! Hammer fish! Hammer fish! I will never equip my legendary fish hammer. It's not the verses, because the verses has a not. I will never not equip my legendary fish hammer. Fish hammer. Fish hammer. Fish hammer. Fish hammer. And that is the commentation that we receive here. Fish hammer. Fish hammer. Fish hammer. Fish hammering away at goat. Hammering away at goat. And one commenter says, for beating the carp out of someone. Oh, Goat versus Fish. Such a humorous verses. But we think it's more for beating the goat out of someone. Not that Goat versus Fish endorses a violence. It's not for beating the goat out of someone. It's for bleating the goat out of someone. What are the stats on this fish hammer? Perhaps it gives you +3 offense against any goat that you versus. The tail of the fish can be used to pry nails from fences. Never, never use a fish hammer to build a fence, is what Goat vs. Fish would say. But it would surprise you that Goat vs. Fish would say something else. If you are building a fence out of wood, we could suspect the fish building fences to contain goats. This fish hammer may have been used in an ancient farmland versus by fish farmers to build a fence that contained the goat. With the sigil of fish containing the goat, concentrating the goat in goat camps, domesticating goat, weakening the goat, milking the goat, all so that they cannot organization do versus the fish. Stay behind your fences, says the fence builder. Stay behind your fences, goat. And do not go to the sea of the fish to versus the fish. But that's where this fish hammer comes in. Evidence that all of those constructions were made by fish. Fish hammer, celebration for fish, celebration for fish. Stop. Fish time. Fish time. Oh. This does add evidence for Go to say that fish are tools. Don't be a fish, says the goat. All the fish are tools. And here's evidence that fish are tools. Tool fish. Tool fish. Now the fish is spouting some hydration there, we can see, and yet the hydration has now formed into some sort of hexagonal ice cube on the front of the spout. Amazing fish has the ability to spout hydration and turn it into solid construction. This fish is straight spittin', y'all. This fish is spittin' hard. This fish is spittin' hard. Let's look at that fish. Let's look at that fish. This fish is spittin' hard. And those scales. We have heard of scale armor, but this is refishulous. Who's going to mess with this fish? Who's going to mess with this fish? Now, maybe this fish hammer was employed to build a fence, but we cannot deny that this fish seems to be sitting atop of a fence. A singular hammer fence post? Maybe this fish sacrificed itself, encased in steel or iron or something else that fences are made of. Goat versus fish does not know. A fish sacrificed itself to be encased in metallics and put atop a fence post so that it could be used to build further fences to contain goat, to ensure the triumph of fish. Fence begets fence. Fence begets fence. Beware, fish. We celebrate the fish hammer. We celebrate the fish hammer. But you start leaning a bit close to the fence, and soon it may be you who are on the fence. Don't sit on the fence. Choose goat or fish. Are you goat or are you fish? And Goat versus Fish is going to hammer that versus away until the day we get you to choose goat or fish. Celebration for Goat versus Fish. I wanna be your fish hammer. This will be my testimony. Let's go to the chat. Mad Paperboy says it's an oddly shaped fish. Well, fish come in many, many, many forms. Can I get one of whatever you're having? Yes, Pyrostar, you can get one of whatever we're having. You can get one. You can get one. You can get one sticker that says Goat versus Fish if you subscribe to Goat versus Fish and follow Goat versus Fish. Trip 323, celebration for following Goat versus Fish. Celebration. Zombie Jabby, are you goat or are you fish? Zombie Javi, we must know. Zombie Javi, we must know if you are goat or if you are fish. Mad Paperboy, are you goat or are you fish? Toasted Sheep 420, you trade spy or nah? Are you spying on Goat versus Fish? Are you spying on Goat versus Fish? We are spying on you. Goat versus Fish is spying on you, and yet we are yet to see you choose goat or fish. Are you goat or fish? Zombie Javi goes goat. Celebration for goat. Bonnie DQ, are you goat or are you fish? Dale the Parrot is a fish, so that's a fish. We have Dale the Parrot the fish. We have Mad Paperboy goat. We have Zombie Javi goat. So that's 2 goat and 1 fish. That's 2 goat and 1 fish. It's 2 goat and 1 fish. 2 goat and 1 fish. Toasted Sheep 420 is goat. 3 goat and 1 fish. 3 goat and 1 fish. 3 goat, 1 fish. Let's get that in the verses. 3 goat, 1 fish. Five goat versus 4 fish. 5 goat versus 4 fish. It's in the verses. It's in the verses. It's in the verses. Some of you are new to Goat versus Fish. Some of you are old to Goat versus Fish. But we appreciate you being here for this brief verses, for this brief verses. Let's get into it. Let's get into it. Let's find ever more. There's ever more commentation to be done. There's more to be done here. There's more to be done here. There's more verses to be won here. We saw the fish hammer. It was a fine verse. It was a fine verse. What's next? How about this? How about this? Here's a question. Here is a question. And the question, as we know, is are you goat or are you fish? Goat lasagna? Sounds great to Goat versus Fish. Ever get the feeling something big is about to go down? Something big goes down every versus, Mad Paperboy. Something big goes down every versus. But some verses, it just doesn't seem to be where you are. You could make something big go down off of the fence. There's always a big fence sitter ready to come off of the fence. When is the next event? The next event is in Saturday, this Saturday at the Good Night in North Hollywood. Come see an evening with Goat versus Fish. It will be a musical set and it will contain Goat versus Fish. It will contain Goat versus Fish. So if you are in North Hollywood, this Saturday the 10th, 7 p.m., come to the Good Night and witness some Goat versus Fish. Witness some Goat versus Fish. Meet up with Goat versus Fish. Also on the 16th, Goat versus Fish, Friday the 16th, will be at Pen Paper Palooza doing a 90 minutes of Goat versus Fish. 90 minutes of Goat versus Fish in Santa Monica. For more information, you can always send an Instagram message or a whisper to Goat versus Fish. All at GoatVsFish. All at GoatVsFish to find out more about the shows of Goat versus Fish. And Goat versus Fish will likely go to the Ding Dong Show at the Comedy Store Los Angeles next Monday at 10:30 p.m. in the Belly Room. That is why we're doing an early Goat versus Fish Thursday, because Goat versus Fish is going to the Ice House in Pasadena to do an open mic. It's time to reclaim our verses. Goat versus Fish used to do shows at the Ice House before the fence times. It's time we bring them back, Goat versus Fish. It's time we show them that Goat versus Fish is still a versus to be reckoned with. Still a versus to be reckoned with. celebration. And if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to Goat vs. Fish. Ring the bell for notifications for Goat vs. Fish. Now here's a versus. Goat or Saint Bernard? Goat or Saint Bernard? Can you tell the difference? Goat or Saint Bernard? Can you tell the difference? What kind of question is that? What kind of question is that for Goat vs. Fish? The versus is Goat vs. Fish. We have goat. We have fish. And it's a celebration of Goat vs. Fish. And the one true question is, are you goat or are you fish? But this? Goat or Saint Bernard, can you tell the difference? Well, it looks like the goat is near a small lake or pond of the water of fish. Maybe it's a frozen fish lake. Let's reserve judgment of Goat vs. Fish until we've watched the verses. Perhaps it's really a fish. Maybe they're confusing St. Bernard for a fish, and they're asking goat or fish, and the fish is the St. Bernard. They would not mean to imply that this goat is a St. Bernard, as if a St. Bernard were some actual thing that you could be, other than a goat or a fish, because there is only goat or fish, because there is only goat or fish. Let's have a look at this verses. Wow, that won't get Goat vs. Fish with any copyright restrictions. Let's try that again without the musications. Goat vs. Fish will provide our own musications. Goat, I vote goat. Well, it's nice we have a vote of goat. Degenerate Dingleberry votes for goat. Celebration for goat. Celebration for goat. Goat or St. Bernard? Well, it seems we have a goat. It seems we have a goat. Celebration for goat. Celebration for goat. There are now 6 goat and 4 fish in the verses of Goat vs. Fish. Let's take a closer look. So that's the fish. That's the fish in this verses? That's the St. Bernardus fish? It looks a bit like, what was that verses? What was that old verses? It went, goat versus fish, goat versus fish. Implication, Beethoven was fish. St. Bernard, Beethoven was fish. Oh, it's a deep verses. It's a deep verses. But maybe this means that Beethoven was fish.
Goat versus fish. Goat versus fish. Goat versus fish. Goat versus fish.
Something big was about to drop. Beethoven has chosen fish. Celebration! Beethoven has chosen fish. Beethoven has chosen fish. Goat or St. Bernard, goat or fish, can you tell the difference? Yes, that's a fish. That's a St. Bernard fish. And that is a goat. Celebration for goat. Celebration for goat. True story. I was loading my goat into my car. Transportation for goat. Transportation for goat. Can we get some public transportation for goat? But look at within. Look at within. Look at within this automotion. There's some hay for a goat. There's some ground for a goat. We're loading the goat. We're moving the goat. I was loading my goat into my car when a man came up to ask about my St. Bernard. Wait a verses. Is this the St. Bernard fish, or is this the man that asked you about the goat? It's very unclear to Goat versus Fish. If you're going to make an Instagram story, if you're going to make a YouTube's reel, at least be clear, what is goat and what is fish? We thought we had the verses. We thought we knew that the St. Bernard, that this was the fish, but now you are talking about a man? What is a man? What makes a man, Mr. Fishbowski? Is it being prepared to versus the goat? No matter the cost. Is this a man? You may say that's a preposterous question, Goat versus Fish, and it is, because the one true question is, are you goat or are you fish? But is it any more preposterous a question than asking, are you a goat or a St. Bernard? If you want to bring St. Bernards into the verses, you might as well bring man into the verses. Are you a man or a St. Bernard? False question. Are you goat or are you fish? You introduce just one fence into the verses of Goat versus Fish, and it all gets fancy. Let's continue to look at the evidence. Okay, here we are back with goat again. Is that the man? Is that the man? Is that the man who asked? Who? But you're with the goat? Now, Goat versus Fish. Oh, my verses. But if that one in red is the man, that would make the goat the St. Bernard. And if the St. Bernard was the fish, then the goat is the fish? And the man is the goat? We need clarification on Goat versus Fish. Is this what passes for content? 9,171 likes, and we don't even know which is goat and which is fish. I told him, I don't have a dog, this is a goat. So now this is a goat. So now this is goat. So now we have confirmation. This is the goat. I told him, I don't have a dog, this is a goat. Well, now we know. Now we know that that's the goat in the verses. Celebration for goat. And here we thought that the goat was a goat. That other goat, it looked like a goat, but maybe it's actually a St. Bernard fish, whereas this is the real goat in the verses. Instantgram, the reels. They will bombard you with false images. And the images and the texts and the sounds, they are all coming at you so swiftly, so quickly, it is breeding in your mind confusion about the universe, making things all the unclearer. Strange associations are being made into your ponderings about what is a man and what is a dog. That is why you need Goat versus Fish. You need Goat versus Fish to tell you the true verses. This is a goat, and this is a fish. Goat, fish. Goat, fish. Goat, fish. Goat versus fish. That's the verses. This is the knowledge of Goat versus Fish. Subscribe to Goat versus Fish and then delete all applications from your phone. This has been instruction by Goat versus Fish. Oh, my verses. So now this is a goat. Now this is the goat. Take note of the frozen sea of the fish. This may look like a dry place, but the water does flow here. It may look like a hot place, and yet it's a frozen sea. Truly, the land of the goat and the sea of the fish are such a beautiful, ever-mutating, changing place where Goat versus Fish does happen. We can say that about this. It's a beautiful verses. No, he corrected, that's a dog. Who is correcting who? The confusion just continues. That's a dog. No, that's a dog. No, that's a goat. No, that's a fish. He said, quotation, "I've been looking all over for a dog like that." Well, maybe you just want a dog who's a fish. Maybe you should just get a fish instead, and then have your fish versus a goat. Or maybe you should get a goat. Maybe you should ask yourself, are you goat or fish? In all of this confusion over St. Bernards and goats, did the one who posted this, Goat Rex, celebration for goat, ever bother to ask the one who is asking, is that a goat or a St. Bernard, asking them, are you goat or are you fish? Who's asking, a goat or a fish? If they're asking, is it a goat or a St. Bernard, they are clearly confused about goat versus fish. They clearly lack perception about the universe. They need goat versus fish. They desperately need the one true verses. Do you see anyone who is confused? Do you know anyone who's confused about life and the universe? Okay. Ask them the one true question. Are you goat or are you fish? None of your questions will be answered. It will just be goat versus fish. But you can answer, are you goat or fish, and choose goat or fish. As a matter of verses, leave a comment and say goat or fish. The verses continue. Goat, goat. We think this is goat. We think this is a goat situation. We like the goat. If she ever has puppies, please give me a call. Maybe this was just anti-goat propaganda. That goat's not a goat. That goat is a Saint Bernard that has puppies. Stalwart goat. Stalwart goat. A goat in service. A hauling goat. It is a fine goat. And if you're going to tell goat versus fish that this is not a goat, that this is actually a Saint Bernard man fish, then goat versus fish will denounce that versus. Confusion over. This is a goat. This is a hard-versing goat, and how dare you call it a St. Bernard man fish? We won't have it. We won't have it on goat versus fish. Let your confusion be ended. A goat is a goat, and a fish is a fish. And it was written that it was goat versus fish. Nice verses. Nice verses. A nice verses indeed. Let's get back to the chat. Do not despair, YouTubers. Goat versus fish can see you too. 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 We can see everything that you do. Nameless user 8. Are you goat or are you fish? Zombie Javi, celebration and welcome to Goat versus Fish. Degenerate Dingleberry, thank you for voting for goat. So Goat versus Fish, we must get to be going now. We have to get to the ice house to do our open microphone, Goat and Fish. We have to go to do the open microphone, Goat and Fish. The versus ends with 6 goat and 4 fish. The goat do triumph. The goat do triumph. And Emir Queen comes in with goat at the final verses. Wow. Seven goat, 4 fish. Let's make it written. Let's make it written. Let's make it written. It may be small, but it tells all. It tells all. On 05, 08, 25, goat triumph. 7 goat versus 4 fish. A simple versus, a humble versus, but a beautiful versus. Time to conduct a radiation. Goat versus fish. We may bring you some more Goat versus Fish Thursday after we return from Pasadena open mic, but we must be going. We must be going now. So we'll see you on the next verses. So we'll see you on the next verses of Goat versus Fish. Celebration, celebration. Goat versus Fish.